This strengths journey is not, it's a marathon, right? We are not in a sprint. No one, just because you haven't done one yet, doesn't mean that you're getting an F from me or the church. It doesn't mean anything other than we just want to continue to encourage you to consider it. But we are going to talk through tonight, in the original couple of weeks, we talked about 34 strengths and kind of the basis behind all of this, the study, this decades of experience and the ways in which those who were gathering that data used it to come up with 34 indicators of strength. Tonight we're going to look at the first 17, and these are just by alphabet. They're not by importance, okay? So it's alphabetical simply. And many of you who've taken your strengths assessment already have one printed. If you walked by it and didn't realize it, you can go back there and grab it tonight. And if you're at home and watching via Zoom, it'll be, I'll put them in my office tonight, and you can see me Sunday and grab it, or come down and see Vicki in the church office any day this week, and she'll be happy to give you yours if you're close to the office. So those are available. We're going to briefly look at 17 of the strengths, and then we're going to talk about some of the areas of strength toward the end and have a little bit of talk around the table, okay? So our first strength in the alphabet is achiever. And you see this is an executing strength, okay? People strong in the achiever theme have a great deal of stamina. They work hard, and they take great satisfaction from busy and productivity, okay? Busyness and productivity. I told you last week some of the ways that someone with high adaptability or adaptability as a strength would be described in some negative ways. These are both healthy and unhealthy descriptors. That doesn't mean that you're always unbalanced if you're an achiever, or that you're always a brown-noser. It just means that others might, if they don't understand you well, might make assumptions about you in that way, okay? So, those with a top 5 of achiever can be described as tireless, having a strong work ethic, leading by example. They're a go-getter. They are hungry for more, right? Unhealthy descriptors could be that they're unbalanced. They just work too hard, right? They're a brown-noser. They want to take everybody's job and do it, right? They're overcommitted. They say yes to everything. Burn the candle at both ends. They're too concentrated on work. They never have any fun, okay? Achievers. If you see folks laughing around the table, they probably have an achiever as a husband, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And let me just say before we go to activator, although we will go to activator, Andy, that sometimes it's even more clear to someone who knows you well, right? You know it about yourself, but then when you say, one of my top 5 was achiever, the person a brother or sister or someone that loves you and knows you really well might say, oh yeah, I've known that all my life. Now I've got words around it, right? So activators, the second. People, especially talented in activator, make things happen. They can take thoughts and make them happen, right? They take thoughts into a product. Okay? They may activate on thoughts, feelings, or decisions. These people can be described as self-starters, an energy source, or fearless. And an unhealthy way that they can be described is ready, fire, aim. They're a loose cannon. That they want to go and then think about it. That they might act or speak before they really think things through. And they're usually out in front of a thought group. And so they might be described as someone out in left field. You know, they're just, sometimes activators don't have do a great job of communicating what they're up to. And so they can be seen as off the reservation or not present because they're already thinking about what's next, right? Our third strength, adaptability. I talked about adaptability last week because this is my number one strength. Okay, it's top of the board for me, it's I don't know. We're go with the flow people, right? Highly adaptable people tend to be now people who take things as they come and discover the future one day at a time. Today, Allie and we've been planning and talking while she's been in and out of town around the youth piece, but we took our highly adaptable selves today and mashed out some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And it was awesome to be in a room with another highly adaptable people solving a problem, right? We were really doing some good work today. We were in the moment, and we were working together really well. We're flexible, comfortable in times of change, decently easy to get along with. There are people in my life who might disagree with that statement. Go with the flow, right? An unhealthy barrier or descriptor would be directionless, indecisive, inconclusive, whimsical. Don't think through stuff, right? Adaptability. The fourth, I think, analytical. This is a strategic thinking area. People strong in the analytical theme search for reasons and causes. They have the ability to think about all the factors that might affect the situation. So, someone who's highly analytical will think and think and think and think, right? Constantly taking in information. There may be more factors on the way, right? We're going to think some more. They think through and through and through. They're smart, they're logical, they're thorough, they're comfortable with numbers, figures, and charts. And then an unhealthy barrier descriptor, others might perceive them as being rude or short or tough, never satisfied with the answer, always asking one more question. That's okay. That is the way analytical folks are built, okay? And they're good and healthy in a system. I can't say much more about that because I am not analytical, John Kerr. I'm not. Arranger is the fifth. Arrangers organize, but they also have flexibility that complements this ability. They like to figure out how all of the pieces and resources can be arranged to maximize productivity. Okay? So it's a little different than our analytical people, right? Those folks can see the pieces and arrange them well. Okay? Figure out how all those pieces work together. They're described as flexible, organized, aligning and realigning tasks to make the most productive configuration, efficient, kind of almost like a program manager, almost, yeah, a producer, someone who's making things happen all over the board. Unhealthy barrier descriptors might be that they lack structure, they're too flexible, they might color outside of the rules, right? They might be to someone who is differently abled, might say they don't follow the rules or existing procedures. They're constantly changing their priorities. They lack vision because they're willing to shift a bit, right? All right, we're through all of the A's. Belief is the next. This is an executing function as well. People strong in belief have core values that do not change. And out of these values come a purpose, right? Their purpose for life. And so high belief people they're deeply rooted in their history and who they have been, right? High belief people are passionate about what they believe. They are someone you can count on. They're steadfast. They are certain about where they stand on issues, right? But they give. They're altruistic, right? They are family-oriented, ethical, and responsible people. Unhealthy descriptors, some might describe them as stubborn, set in their ways, even elitist, unaccepting of others' ideas, right? They are opinionated, even we miss goody two-shoes. That's my favorite. That's at the bottom. Might be described as a goody two-shoes. People high in belief, because of their ethic, aren't going to break rules, right? They're just not. And so they'll be described as a goody two-shoes, a rule follower. My wife is high in belief. Command is our next description. People strong in the command theme have presence. They can take control of a situation and make decisions in the moment, right? They're charismatic people. They're usually direct, don't have a problem with going straight to the source and being vocal about their opinion about what needs to happen next, right? They are driven. They usually are inspirational in ways. I mean, these people are easy to follow. Some folks who butt in don't have a good concept of what's going on, and they just are seen as opinionated blowhards. Someone with the command strength always knows what they're doing, and folks sense that they understand and that they've got a good plan, right? Clear, concise, easy to follow. Folks who struggle with people with high command strength might describe them as bossy, a know-it-all, domineering, rude, abrupt, short, strong-willed, inflexible, or stubborn. Next, another one of my top 5 strengths is communication. They generally find it easy to put their thoughts into words. Good conversationalists and presenters. Just because, so they are healthy descriptors, or they could be storytellers. They usually have a presence in a crowd of people, easy to talk to. They are energizing. They are entertaining, charismatic. Unhealthy descriptors, some of you may be thinking, he's a blabbermouth. All he ever does is talk. When does he ever listen to anyone, right? A poor listener, self-absorbed, a show-off, always needing attention. And so those are, for folks with high communication skills, they can be seen in those ways, right? This is one of my favorites. It's not high for me, but the next one is competition. Okay? You know, if driving around Atlanta, if you're sitting at a red light and you think, I'm going to beat all 3 of these cars off the line, you might have competition in your top 5, right? Or if every game of Scrabble at Thanksgiving with family, You are taking no prisoners. You are not allowing those words that might be a little, you're like, show me in the dictionary. That's not a word that you have high competition. They strive to win first place. They would agree with Ricky Bobby. Second place is first loser, right? They're motivated, driven. They're always number one. They're measurement oriented. They're winners. Now, story from, there's a graduate of Rome High School, was one of my students, and he just graduated, and he started Georgia Tech this past week. And he's going to be probably a civil engineer. He's brilliant. He was, competition was his number one when we did strengths when they were seniors. And it all became clear. I always knew Carter was a go-getter, and anytime he lost at game night, his group lost, he was always inconsolable. I'm like, Carter, it's a youth group game. He's like, I know, but we should have won. You cheated. We're stacking cups. It's not that big a deal, right? Competition matters to folks who have this strength, and it can be really leveraged well, right? Unhealthy descriptors, they're sore losers, they're not team players, they put down other people, they're self-centered, or even confrontational. But when competition is in a healthy place, it's good, right? The next is connectedness. This is one of those relationship building areas. People strong in connectedness have faith in the links between all things. They can find connectedness. I think is in my top 10. I didn't bring my whole thing. I should have. It's in my top 10. I'm always trying to make a connection. I think pastors try to do that. I think Doc probably does that as well, because when we're finding out about someone, I'm trying to connect with them. And so if they tell me a story about something, I'm trying to resonate with that experience in some ways and connect with them. So they believe that there are few coincidences and that almost every event has a reason, right? They can be described as spiritual. They don't sweat the small stuff. They have strong faith, looking at the big picture, and they can see people, help other people see a purpose. Unhealthy descriptors are they're naive, they're idealistic, they're wishy-washy, passive. Connected folks strong in connectedness look for links. Consistency. People strong in the consistency theme are keenly aware of the need to treat people the same. Okay? They try to treat everyone in the world with consistency by setting clear rules and adhering to them. So Tamra, who was here 2 weeks ago, has high consistency. I think we have a couple people on the staff who have high consistency. Didn't we, Doc? I think I remembered.
It's in my top 5.
Okay.
Vicky's number 1.
There you go. I knew. So I can talk about Tamra, but Tamra was in charge of the policies and procedures in Rome, especially building use policies. Right now, I'm high relationship, and if the Boy Scout Troop 113 called and said, "Hey, John, we want to use the fellowship hall for something. Can we use the fellowship?" I was always, "Yeah." And Tamara would always say, "Did you give them the policy? We got to treat the Boy Scout Troop 113 just like we would treat any other group. It's not fair to give them $20 off the price." Right? It is treating everybody the same. And she was a really good, she was good for me in that because she helped me treat other people fairly, right? And be even-handed, right? They are just. They are policy makers. They're problem solvers, people who have that consistency strength. They can be described as by the book, inflexible, unwilling to customize or individualize. And that comes out of that sense of, that they see everybody as the same. They're not making any favors for anybody, right? Out of a sense of fairness. Context. People strong in the context theme like thinking about the past. Candace, I think, has context high in her top 5. Does she not? Candace Young? Is there number 1? Okay. I remember it being high. I thought, so she's our storyteller, right? Candace, the communications is our storyteller. She tells stories for us really well. And anytime I have a question about context, I've called Candace and she's given me really good background. She's keenly aware of context, and it matters. They understand the present by remembering and researching history. They've got a robust historical frame of reference. They learn lessons from the past and know how things came to be. And then unhealthy descriptors, they're slow to move and to react to change. They're closed-minded, and they live in the past. Context, for me, I think might be 33, right? It's low for me. And I was like, when I first got it, I was like, no wonder I hate history so much. I have low context as a strength. Deliberative is our next strength. People strong in the deliberative theme are best described as the serious care they take in making decisions or choices. They anticipate obstacles, and they can be described as having good judgment, identifying risk well, making good, solid decisions, and they can usually plan and see potential unexpected barriers, right? An unhealthy descriptor can be that they might be aloof or cautious, slow, introverted, afraid to act, but they are taking in information, right? A developer is, they recognize and cultivate potential in others. They spot signs of small improvements and derive satisfaction from seeing those happen, right? A healthy descriptor is that these people grow talent in other people. They're good teachers. They're good coaches. They enjoy helping others succeed. They invest in others. An unhealthy descriptor is that they're not an individual contributor. They waste time on low potential people, or that they're a spectator. Do you mind? Okay. So I had a confession from Gail Suggs tonight. When I first came, she's like, I just don't know about it. One of my top 5 is developer, and I just don't know about that. I just don't. And as I have thought about that, one of the things that I've experienced in my 4 months serving here with Gail is that at every turn, I sense that she has been nothing but helpful to me, with background information, with good background stories, with a willingness to bring a pot of chili. I mean, I can tell she wants me to succeed, and she is developing in me confidence in me, and so I have experienced it from her firsthand. So developers are built like that. Okay. Discipline. People strong in the discipline theme enjoy routine and structure. Their world is best described by the order they create. That's a really good and descriptive sentence. The world is best described by the order they create. People high in discipline like to lay life out, right? And like to know what's coming and what's expected. Healthy descriptors are that they're highly productive and accurate because of their ability to measure things and put things into place. that they can break complex things down into easy to understand steps. They're a good planner, and that they like and promote efficiency. Unhealthy descriptors, that they can be overbearing, rigid, mechanical, and they can't handle change. Okay? Discipline is, again, we talked about this last week. I think discipline is number 1 for Doc, and I think discipline might be 33 for me, right? And so he and I are good, are going to work well together, because those are gifts that he has that this church will benefit from, right? And he's going to help me understand how to build that out in my life. And Allie and I are going to encourage him not to freak out if we have to move something from one Sunday to the next, right? Once it's been decided, if we have to shift it, we'll have to have good reasoning, obviously, but we'll help him breathe deeply and understand the processes, right? Always looking for a better reason, right? All right, discipline. Empathy. Empathy is another one of those relationship building pieces. People strong in empathy can sense the feelings of other people and imagine themselves in their shoes, right? You know what it means to be empathetic. They create trust. They bring healing. They know just what to say. And they customize an approach to other people, right? Unhealthy descriptors is that they're soft, they're moody, or they're over-involved, right? I have high empathy. I think it's in my top 10. And then the last description for this week is focus. Focus is an executing strength in the executing realm. These folks can take a direction, they follow through, and they make the corrections necessary to stay on track. So these are great program people too, because they don't have to have every step along the way, but they know what the task is, and they can also stay true to the task even if things get pushed off course a little bit. They know how to make corrections in the moment by prioritizing and then taking action. They are point people. They're disciplined. They're purposeful. They're precise. They are goal setters, goal achievers. Unhealthy descriptors are that they're absorbed. It's tough for them to relax. They're too intense and maybe even stressed out. So, for those of you who have an assessment in front of you and understand some of your gifts, we might not have covered one of them yet. We might not have. I mean, the likelihood is that we've hit at least one. But what I want us to think about are some of these things that have been in the parentheses: executing, relationship building, I think, strategic thinking, and influencing. There are 4 different areas that we're going to think about. They're called domains of team strength. So if you'll hit that next slide, Andy. So this is going to be hard to read probably because it's really small type. But there are 4 areas that these strengths fall into. All of them, okay? I have some of these that I can pass out at the end as actual handouts. They're actually in my office. But if you want to take one of these home, I'll absolutely let you. Or I can send you a PDF version of it in email. Executors know how to make things happen. And when the team needs somebody to implement a solution, these are the people who will work to get it done, okay? Those with this strength have the ability to catch an idea and then make it a reality. So they don't have to be the dreamers. These are usually the people who make something happen. Okay, influencers, they help the team reach a much broader audience. These individuals sell the team's ideas inside and outside the org, the church or the group. And when the team needs somebody to take charge, to speak up and make sure the group is heard, these influencers will step up, okay? Relationship building, these folks provide the glue to hold the team together. Without their strengths, in many cases, the group simply is siloed, right? It's just a bunch of individuals that don't work together. Relationship building strengths have the unique ability to help the group become greater than the sum of its parts. And then strategic thinking. Those that have these themes are the ones who help the team stay focused on what could be. They're constantly absorbing and analyzing information, and they're helping the team make better decisions, right? This strength, continually listen. They continually stretch the team's thinking toward the future, okay? So, the way these break down, if you are, we're going to do just a smidge of group work, and I think Ron is on Zoom, and he will gather. We've created a group of all the Zoomers that are going to go into a breakout room, and everybody else in the room here. What I want you to do is I want you to look at your top 5 if you have them. If not, I just want you to pick a group, okay? If you have not done it, you know who you are, and you know if you're an executor, an influencer, if you lead with relationship building, or you're a strategic thinker. I think somewhere deep down, even if you haven't done this. But what I want you to do is if you have your strengths, I want you to look at these 4 lists, and I want you to circle your top 5 on those lists, right? I would circle adaptability in relationship building. I will circle woo. I would circle positivity. You know, I would circle all the things that are in my top 5. And then where the most circles are, I want you to gather around a table in the room with people like that. Okay? So here's the group. Here's the group. Thank you, Andy, for changing. This is the list of strengths. We're going to keep those up. So we're going to say the executors are going to be back here in this back corner. Okay? The influencers are going to kind of be up here. Relationship builders will come up here. And then strategic thinkers are going to be back here. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to answer some questions around the table. All I want you to do is sit around people who are like you in some ways, right? And y'all are going to talk through these questions. Where do you have the most themes? Which domain? You'll be at the table with those folks, right? Executor, influencing, relationship building, strategic thinking. When you have been successful, maybe tell a story or think about a story and write it down of when you've been the most successful working in that domain. And then where do you have the least amount? And it may be 2 because you only have 5 strengths right now. And there are 34. But maybe you don't have any strategic thinking. There are no circles in there. Why do you think that's it? Why do you think that is? And then where do you spend the most time? Are you relationship? I'm relationship all the way, okay, in some ways. And then where do you wish you could spend more time, okay? So those are the questions we're going to think about. And Andy will help me by just toggling back and forth, if you don't mind. Just toggling back and forth between those 2 questions. We'll start there. So if you're in the room, we don't have long. If you're in the room and you're willing to stretch your legs a little bit, executors are down here, influencers, relationship building folks, and strategic thinking folks. Ready? Go.
We're all back.
We're glad y'all are back in the room, Zoomers. And all I want to do is I want Andy to show the next slide, which is our scatter plot of this is not everybody, but this is the group who has currently taken the assessment, with the exception of one or two who didn't make it in before this got printed. But can you see the blue? Right? And why does this is relationship building, why does this make sense in our setting? Right? You would think in a church, relationships matter, right? And that's why a place like this draws a bunch of blues into the room.